We have been speaking about it. It's a friendship which dates back to 1947. It has evolved and has now become a special and strategic one.
A strategic partnership that's held both India and Russia in good stead, and there is no American pressure. That message goes out loud and clear. In that exclusive, global exclusive interview to India Today, President Putin made it very clear, Prime Minister Narendra Modi doesn't come under pressure, and neither does he.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you look at the visuals of yesterday, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed his friend Vladimir Putin at the tarmac, they accompanied in the same car, they sat in the car, the famous car visuals resurfaced again, and then he took him to 7 LKM, his official residence, where they had a private dinner. Those were the visuals that were clearly being watched by Washington, D.C. and Beijing as well.
And across the world, Europe must be feeling increasingly left out. This picture, I was reporting from Tianjin at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, where President Putin waited for Prime Minister Narendra Modi for that conversation. And this picture, the two traveling in the same car. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi presented the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The Prime Minister presented the Srimad Bhagavad Gita to President Putin. And Maria, the Bhagavad Gita was in Russian language. ISKCON is hugely popular in Russia.
And the messaging cannot be more direct than this. Prime Minister is investing in this relationship, and that's why President Putin, in that exclusive chat with Anjana and Geeta, has said that here is the Prime Minister. You're fortunate to have Prime Minister Modi as your Prime Minister because he lives and breathes India.
What's happening in the next couple of hours? Let us get you the entire itinerary. So, 11 in the morning, there's a ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan Tri-Services Guard of Honor for a head of state.
At 11:30, President Putin will be going to the Rajghat for the wreath-laying ceremony. At 11:50 is when the bilateral will begin with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Hyderabad House, Gaurav.
And that's very significant, the bilateral meeting, because that is where the nuts and bolts of the MOUs that will be inked will be talked about. The future of this relationship. And Maria, both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Putin, they don't think tactical, they think strategic, they think long-term, because both India and Russia are very powerful civilizational states.
Absolutely, and the messaging cannot be more solid and so rooted, I would say. The visuals on your television screens right now is the picture of Bhagavad Gita being gifted to the Russian president, and this was in Russian. The Prime Minister sending a message that this is a relationship which dates back to civilizational connect, that it is not just about post-independence India, it has a long history, and the one which has evolved also with changing times.
It's a relationship that dates back to Vedic times. In fact, trade between then Bharatvarsh and what is today Russia dates back to historical times. There are idols of Lord Shiv and Vishnu and Ganesh that have been found in parts of Russia, and archaeologists are talking about it. In Tianjin, there was a conversation about it. At the Kazan, at the BRICS summit, again something that I was reporting from ground zero, there was a conversation about it. And Maria, that just goes on to show that these are people, two people who've been very close since time immemorial.
And these leaders are also ones who think about the interest of the nations first, who will not bow down under Western pressure. These are the leaders who have stood the test of time. Remember, President Putin is visiting India at a time when India is facing 50% tariff, including the penalty tariff of 25%. That is because of the purchase of the crude Russian oil. But first up, as we have been saying, Beijing is watching, and here is China's mouthpiece, Global Times, Gaurav. They are reporting on this visit, and what are they saying?
So, experts in China, they're hailing President Putin's visit to India. They're saying President Putin's visit to India sends across a very strong message, Maria.
And they are quoting Chinese experts on India-Russia bonhomie. In fact, Chinese experts are saying that India-Russia is resilient to external pressure. Very, very fascinating, I would say. There is a new axis, Gaurav. Is this the new axis which is emerging, which is sending a message to the Western powers, which is sending a message to Washington, D.C., that China, India, Russia can be a new axis to reckon with?
So Russia has talked about it. RIC, Russia, India, China trilateral. But can it be escalated to the level of a summit? Perhaps not as yet. But it's in the works. There is conversation around it. But it cannot happen, Maria, as you well know, as long as China remains an irritant at the borders. Borders have to be peaceful when it comes to India and China for that relationship to move forward. However, at Tianjin, at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, there was an effort, that handshake between President Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Vladimir Putin. That sent out a very strong message, and it was noticed by the American president. He was perturbed about it, and he mentioned that.
Yes, and so what should we be expecting in the next few hours? We have spoken about the entire itinerary of President Putin. In fact, there will be a crucial summit as well, the India-Russia summit, for which he is visiting. Remember, this India-Russia summit was put on hold because of the Ukraine war. And this is the 23rd annual summit in which President Putin, his visit becomes significant because he's visiting India for the first time since 2021. The message is of restoring ties. The message is of normalizing ties despite Western pressure. So all eyes will be on the bilateral, and by 7 p.m. in fact, he goes back to Moscow.
So there is a state dinner.
Yes.
The meeting Rashtrapati Draupadi Murmu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and then he flies out. 30 very important minutes. But that picture that you see on your television screen, that picture speaks 1,000 words. The Srimad Bhagavad Gita, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi believes in Bharat, the civilization that is moving forward. Russian President Vladimir Putin, in that exclusive interview to India Today, he mentioned that. He said India is very lucky to have Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister at this very crucial juncture, because he breathes India. He thinks India and India first at all times, or words to that effect. The Srimad Bhagavad Gita, extremely important, because there is Yogeshwar Sri Krishna's message to Arjun, which is Yuddhai Krit Nishchaya, and that is something that the Prime Minister very strongly believes in, Maria.
Why don't you explain that to us?
So, Arjun, when he had to battle his relatives, his friends, he wanted to run away, Palayan. And that's where in the Kurukshetra, and we are in that International Kurukshetra even right now, when Arjun didn't want to battle and kill his relatives or fight with his relatives or win territory, what did Yogeshwar Sri Krishna say? He said, Hathova prapyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshasi mahim, tasmad uttishta konteya yuddhai krit nishchaya. And that means, if you are killed in battle, like any soldier, like any kshatriya, you will go to heaven. If you win, you rule over this earth, which is as beautiful as heaven. And that is why, O Kunti Putra, take a firm resolve and fight. That's exactly what India is doing right now. There may be tariffs on you, there may be international pressure on you, but what is India doing? Fighting with one clear image: India first.
Absolutely. International Kurukshetra, that's actually very well and beautifully put, as India sends a message to Washington, D.C. by reliving that old equation, and with every visual which has emerged in the last 12 hours, I would say, is a message that is going to the world, that this is a friendship that India believes in. This is a friendship that they will ensure survives the test of time. This remains our top focus.
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
And the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, is huge in Russia, in a country which is seeing conflict. And when you see loss of life, it's the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita that give a lot of peace of mind, Maria.
Absolutely.